that he's not able to do in this world. Well, let's take a step back to Adam. What was the original plan for the world? The original plan was that the world was going to be created, man was going to be created, man was going to be in this heightened spiritual state, and it was going to have a mission, it was going to fulfill a commandment of Hashem, and that would allow him to grow. Once that growth started, that process continues on its own. Because as the neshama gives the body, it is fulfilling the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation is to be givers, as we've explained. And when the neshama is able to be a giver in that sense, it achieves a higher level, becomes closer to Hashem, because it's giving, like Hashem is the ultimate giver. So by emulating the ways of Hashem, we become closer to Hashem, as we've learned already in the very beginning. And in doing so, the neshama attains a higher level, because it's now elevated the body to a higher level. And once it attains that higher level, it can elevate the body further. And that's the further completion of its mission. So this process is a spiral. As Rav Dessler writes when he's discussing the mission of Adam, he said Adam needed to fulfill this one mitzvah, and that would have created an upward spiral until the point of complete perfection. That's possible in this world. So that spiral is what's being described over here. He doesn't get into all this over there. Rav Dessler doesn't talk about it, but he does hint at it when he says that man would have been on this upward spiral. That would have been the course. And that will happen again once Mashiach comes and we have Tchias HaMeis and we have the resurrection. At that point, Hashem says, okay, now the impurity of the sin has been cleansed. We're now beyond that. We can go back to our original plan, which was continual and constant growth. Forever. To the point where this world is going to cease to exist, because we're going to be too spiritual to exist in a world that has any physicality in it. And as we've learned, the world always has to be parallel to mankind. So whatever level mankind is on, the world has to be there also. So we're going to get to a point where the world's no longer going to exist as we know it. Because we're just going to be at such a tremendously high spiritual level after all this constant growth and growth and growth, that the whole physicality thing is just going to fall away. The body is the... Remember, why was man created? Why was the universe created? Hashem created the universe because the ultimate of giving needs to give to someone or something. So if the body doesn't exist, the neshama has nothing or no one to give to. Just like without a universe, Hashem has no one or nothing to give to. So where do mitzvahs fall into all this? So he doesn't describe it. He doesn't get into the mitzvahs. So in my mind, and this is just me, in my mind, every mitzvah has higher forms of it that we don't really know about. So in the beginning, the mitzvahs will be just like they are now. As we grow, the mitzvahs will become elevated. And when the mitzvahs are elevated, meaning when we are elevated, we will then have a new way of fulfilling mitzvahs. So for example, it says that Adam was supposed to watch and guard the Garden of Eden, which the Medrash says, what does that mean? With the positive and negative commandments. What kind of positive and negative commandments did he have? There weren't any. There were no people. Right? There was no Beis HaMikdash. What positive and negative commandments were there? None. He had one mitzvah. Two. He had two mitzvahs. He had a mitzvah he had one positive of procreating, and he had one negative of eating from the tree. That's all he had. But somehow, the mitzvah of procreating was, in a way, containing all the mitzvahs, and the negative of not eating from the tree contained all of the sins, and once he sinned, that kind of all got broken down into the way we have them today. So one source says that the mitzvahs are going to remain as they are. Other sources say the mitzvahs are going to become obsolete. How do we reconcile that? The answer is because, probably, what that means is that as we develop, the mitzvahs as we know them are going to become obsolete, because they're going to change in form to fit our new form. So I think there will be mitzvahs, but they'll be entirely different. So the 50-50 thing will end, right? Yeah. So it's going to be accomplishing, but it's going to be accomplishing in a very different way. Again, that's my understanding of it. This is not Ramchal. That's me. And every neshama is only going to be based on its level. So if everyone's growing at the same rate, everyone's growing at a rate of 100, someone who started at 2,000 is going to be, next he'll be at 2,100. The person who started at 4,000, he's going to be at 4,100. Right? So everyone's rate of growth might be the same, but where they start...
In other words, to that extent of his accomplishment, that's how much it's able to purify.
Existentially...
If that's the amount that it gave, then that's the amount that you get back.
I don't know. The wording that he used over here, as we saw, was V'yeh haziko chahu kifi kol ha'maisim atayim she'asa kvar. V'yasam aisa b'madrega sheroi lo'liyos ben hazaychem. I don't know. It's not. I think it's ambiguous as far as your question. Meaning, based on what it did, that's the level it's going to be on. It doesn't describe the rate of growth. That he doesn't describe.
I don't expect the lines of convention in what we're talking about, but then I think this is top of the line. And then, I don't know, the Ramchal made a stuff that later Derech Hashem about Gilgul, that even the mitzvahs, because if everybody is Gilgul, a reincarnation, we could that reincarnation come back again to being what we could. So we have mitzvahs that was compiled of this. So
yeah.
Not just we have the mitzvahs that we're doing now.
It's not necessarily one lifetime's worth of mitzvahs. It might be multiple lifetimes worth of mitzvahs. But even so, everyone's still going to be on a different level based on their combined accomplishments over the courses of their lifetimes. Yes. No. There will be absolutely no conflict then. That is a time of ultimate clarity. There's no conflict if there's clarity. No ego, no that person's better. We'll see it. We will definitely see that different people grew in ways that we didn't. As we said, the Gemara says every person's sukkah will be like smoke in the eyes of their friends because people are going to be like, wow, look what, here, I thought this person was, and really they're all that. So there will be that. I don't know if that's necessarily only in the world of neshamas or that's even in the world to come. I don't know exactly where that applies, but there will be some of that. But it won't be, you won't feel like there's something wrong with that, like we do now, because it'll just be perfect clarity. You don't look at a giraffe and get jealous of being so tall, right? You do? Oh, okay. Well, most people don't. All right, Stephen, do you have any? Stephen, do you have any availability? I think Jody might need a session or two. You might need a joint effort. Len, you want to get in on this one?
Oh, thank you.
Len also, we share some of the same feelings. I mean, giraffe does have a certain reach.
To the point that makes you jealous?
That part is jealous.
Right, you're impressed by it.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to be a giraffe. I have to like climb on the
Yeah, but you also want to be able to get in the door. You ever seen a giraffe try and duck? They don't do very well. All right. Thank you for coming, everybody. Have a wonderful Hanukkah. And we'll see everybody today, maybe.
1:30 mincha, right?
1:30 mincha, correct.
What do you want to do about next week's class?
So I need to find out about next week's class.
What about Myers?
We'll discuss that at mincha. Yeah, as far as next week, I need to find out from my wife what my plans are for next week. So I will let everybody know.
I'll be around.
Right.
We would definitely probably have to meet here, and I don't even know if Starbucks is open until
Okay. All right. So does anybody here not have WhatsApp?
How do they know we have our share?
Everybody has WhatsApp? Okay. I'm going to start a WhatsApp group. I will add everybody to it, and that way we can communicate that way.
Yay,
Okay. Yeah. All right. Have a good one.